Good morning, students. Myself, Ramya. The subject that we will be learning today is science. Hope you all have understood chapter 1 clearly. Now we will go to the next chapter, that is chapter 2, nutrition in animals. You have learned in chapter 1 that plants can prepare their own food by the process of photosynthesis, but animals cannot. Animals get their food from plants either directly or indirectly. By eating animals that eat plants. Directly, if they eat plants, they get the food, and indirectly, by eating those animals which eat plants. Some animals eat both plants and animals. So, we know that there are three types of animals: herbivores, carnivores, and omnivores. So, herbivores eat only plants, carnivores eat only animals, and omnivores eat both animals and plants. So, we know that why do humans require food? Humans require food for growth, repair, and functioning of the body. Now, animal nutrition. Animal nutrition includes what all things? Nutrient requirement means how much nutrient is required by the body of that animal. Then, mode of intake, in which form he is intaking the food. And the last one is utilization. Only intake of food is not important, utilization of food is also important. So here they are asking, can you list down the components which are there in the nutrients? The components which are present are carbohydrates, fats, vitamins, minerals, proteins. These are the components of the food, the nutrients present in the food. The components of food, such as carbohydrates, we have studied in the last chapter that plants synthesize or prepare the food that is in the form of carbohydrates, and that is a complex substance. So, these complex substances cannot be utilized in the way that is being inputted in our body. So, they have to be broken down. So, the process of breaking down these complex components of the food into simpler substance, that is called as digestion. So the breaking down of complex substances or complex components of the food that we are taking in into simpler form, that is called as digestion. Now we'll look into the different ways of taking food. So all the animals, they are taking in the food into their body by different ways. So for example, bees or hummingbirds, what do? They suck the nectar of the plant, right? Infants, the small babies of humans and animals, they get the milk from their mother. Then snakes, like python, they what do they do? They swallow the animal. They prey on means they catch. They swallow the animals that they catch. Then aquatic animals, what do? They filter tiny food particles floating nearby. So they suck the or they eat the food particles that are floating nearby them, and they feed upon them. Now here a table is given to us in which they have told that some listed down some animals, and we have to say which kind of food they eat. For example, snail, ant, eagle, hummingbird, lice, mosquito, butterfly, housefly. What type of food they are eating and mode of feeding. How they feed. Yes, how they take it. We have tried the what are food items that they eat and how they take that food item into their body. What is the method of taking in of food? For example, scraping, chewing, brewing, capturing, swallowing, sucking. These are some methods of feeding. Okay, so this table will discuss in our online class. Okay, so up till that, you try to complete this table by yourself, but I will explain it in our online classes. So those were the different ways how the living organisms take food into their body. Now we come to how digestion is done in humans. Okay. So We take in the food through our mouth and digest, and then our body absorbs it. The unused part of the food are defecated. Defecated means thrown out of our body. The food that we eat in, some of the food items are not digestible, and they don't digest, and they are waste. So that waste is to be thrown out of our body, and that process is called as defecated. That is known as defecated. So what does the food happens? What happens to the food? How does it reach to the stomach? How does it reach to the small intestine? And how the processes are occurring? That all we'll see now. Yes, we are discussing about the digestion in humans, and I had told you that we take in food through our mouth, and then it's sent to different parts of our body, and then it is digested and utilized by our body. So the food passes through a continuous canal which begins at the buccal cavity. Okay, so the starting point where we keep the food in our mouth, and then it begins at the buccal cavity. You can see in this picture where is the buccal cavity. Yes, where we keep the food and start chewing it, that is the buccal cavity. Then it starts at the buccal cavity and ends at the anus. This is the anus where it ends, from where we throw out the waste from our body. The canal can be divided. This whole canal, from starting from buccal cavity to the cell, to the stomach, then the pancreas, small intestine, large intestine, and anus. This whole long process, yes, this whole long canal is divided into various compartments. First is the buccal cavity. Second one is the food pipe or the esophagus. So this is our food pipe or esophagus. Then it's the stomach, small intestine, large intestine. So this is our stomach, then the small intestine and the large intestine, then the rectum and the anus. So these are the different compartments in which that whole canal is divided into. These parts together form the alimentary canal. Yes, so these parts together, when they are combined, what are they called? They are called as the alimentary canal or the digestive tract. They are called as the alimentary canal or the digestive tract. The food components gradually get digested. So the whole thing is not getting digested, it is digested slowly when it passes through all these parts of our body. So food gets digested as it travels through the various compartments. Yes. So it has been digested slowly when it passes through this whole canal. The inner walls of the stomach and the small intestine and the various glands such as salivary glands, this is the salivary glands, the liver, the pancreas, they secrete digestive juices. So the inner walls of these parts of our body, such as, which are those parts? Stomach, small intestine, salivary glands, liver, and pancreas. What do? They secrete digestive juices, and these digestive juices convert. What is the function of the digestive juices which are secreted by these body parts? They convert complex substances, so substances which are difficult for the body to absorb. That complex substances are being converted into simpler ones. Yes, that complex substances which are present in the food are being converted into simpler ones. So the digestive tract and the associated glands. So the associated glands, which are those associated glands? Salivary gland, liver, pancreas, small intestine, large intestine. These are the other glands which are associated with the digestive tract, which together constitute the digestive system. So all these uh, parts that are labeled in this diagram, they all have a function in they all take part in digesting the food that we eat. So they all together form the digestive system. The digestive system. So now we'll look into what happens to the food that passed through this long canal at different parts when it reaches. We saw at the different parts, which was at buccal cavity, esophagus, or the food pipe, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. What happens to our food when it reaches to these all different parts? We'll see to it in detail that what happens to the food when it reaches these parts of our body. So the first we will start with the mouth and the buccal cavity. Yes. So we had started with the mouth and buccal cavity. So the food is taken in through our body through the mouth. When we eat the food, we keep it in our mouth, and the process of taking food into the body is called ingestion. Okay, the process of taking in of food and keeping it in our mouth, that is called as ingestion. We chew the food with teeth. Yes, we break the food into small pieces and break it down mechanically into small pieces. We chew the food and break it down into small pieces so that it can be swallowed by us. So each tooth that is in this diagram, figure 2.3, you can see the teeth are shown to you. In that each tooth means a one tooth, right? One teeth. So each tooth is rooted in a separate socket in the gums. So the gums means the skin that is around our teeth. So it has been put into a separate, each and every teeth is put into a separate socket in the gums. Our teeth varies in appearance. Yes, in this diagram you can see that all the shape of all the teeth are not similar. They are different. Why? Because they do different functions. Some are for tearing, some are for cutting, some are for chewing. So that is why all of them are having a different shape according to what function they are doing. So, and accordingly, the name is also given to them. So, our teeth vary in appearance and perform different functions. Accordingly, they are given different names. So, in figure 2.3, it is shown the different names. So, the teeth which are at the end of our mouth, they are called as the molars. They are called molars. The teeth that is before that, they are called as the premolars. The teeth before the premolars are called canines, and the teeth that we can see in the front of our mouth, they are called as the incisors. They are called as the incisors. So these are the different name of the teeth depending on what function they are doing in our mouth. So the activity is given that you have to touch your teeth one by one and see how they are different from each other in shape. You can touch it and feel with your finger that how they are different from each other. So take a piece of an apple or bread and eat it. Which teeth do you use for biting and cutting? So for cutting a piece of apple through with our mouth, we use the front teeth. So the front teeth are for cutting. And for chewing that apple, we send it to the end teeth and we start chewing that food item. So the end teeth, the teeth that are inside our mouth, that are at the end of our mouth, they are for chewing, and the teeth that are in front, they are for cutting and tearing. Okay. So in this activity, after doing this activity, you have to write here that in the lower jaw, how many teeth you have for cutting and biting, and in the upper jaw, how many teeth you have for cutting and biting. Similarly for piercing and tearing teeth, and similarly for chewing and grinding the teeth. So for upper jaw, how many are for these three functions, and in the lower jaw, how many are there for these three functions, and then the total number you have to write. So this activity also will do in the classes, online classes. So you just complete this table as per your knowledge, how much you have understood. Okay. Our mouth has the salivary glands which secrete saliva. So there are salivary glands as I showed you in the picture of digestive system. There is salivary glands. They secrete what? Saliva. You can see that liquid that is inside our mouth. That is the saliva which is secreted by the salivary glands. Yes, one more thing I want to tell you. You know this milk teeth and permanent teeth. So milk teeth are those teeth which grow inside our mouth when we are at the age of when we are very small, after 1 year or something like that. When the child is 1 year or after the child becomes 1 year and more, the teeth starts to grow. And those teeth fall off at the age of 6 to 8 and new teeth come up. So the teeth which have fallen down, they are called as the milk teeth, and the new teeth which come in its place, they are called as the permanent teeth. That is for throughout our life. They fall off during old age. They only fall off when we become very old. Up till that they don't fall off. Yes. So hope you all have understood up till here. Now we'll do the next thing.